big hello and welcome from us at Rebel Guru. Now, in this entire video series, I'm going to be asking questions and I'm going to be answering them myself. So the first question we're going to ask ourselves is, why learn Java at all? The simplest answer possible: Mumbai University said so. It's in your syllabus, you have to learn it. It's going to be in your exam, so you better study it. But jokes apart, Java is awesome. Why is Java awesome? For starters, 6.5 million programmers around the world professionally are coding in Java. Java is already deployed on 1 billion desktops and 3 billion mobile phones. Bottom line, the Java market, the Java economy is huge, it's massive. And when your placements come along after your BE, if Java is on your profile, if you know Java really well, you're going to get lots of jobs. That's probably guaranteed. But that's not all. Java is a really powerful language as well. If you know Java really well, you can write anything from a mobile game to a big website, and you can deploy it on these billions of phones and desktop computers worldwide. So think of the reach it gives you if you really understand and learn Java. So bottom line, it is fun to learn Java, it is useful to learn Java, and you should learn Java with that attitude, not because you have to, but because you want to. Okay, so now that I have you convinced that learning Java is awesome and fun, let's jump in and learn it. So to start with, the features of Java. When the smart people who designed Java were sitting around their round table in California, they were thinking, what features does this language need to have? And they came up with a list. They actually came up with a list. And the features that they came up with are platform independence, object-oriented, robust, simple, portable, secure, distributed, multi-threaded, interpreted but high performance, and dynamic. So these are the features that they came up with for the Java language. Now we'll go into the details of what each of these features mean, but it's important to know that when the Java language was being designed, these features were kept in mind, because Java was going to be an improvement over the major languages of its time, right? So in what ways could Java be improved? And these are those ways. And this is what made Java really popular. So keep these in mind. Alright, let's start with platform independence. Now, platform independence is probably the most important feature of Java. What does platform independence mean? Before we go to independence, let's understand what platform means, right? A platform is basically a combination of an operating system and a physical computer, actual hardware. So you could have a Windows machine on an Intel chip, you could have a Mac on an IBM chip, you could have a Linux working on a Sun hardware. So different hardware, different operating system together makes a platform. Now in the past, before Java came out, the big dominant language was C and C++. Now for those of you who already know it, C++ gets compiled. And what does it get compiled to? It gets compiled to something called machine code. So it gets compiled to an actual executable file that can run on that particular platform. The important thing to note is that there is a different compiler for different platforms. So every time you have to write a new C program for that particular compiler, for that particular platform, which will then get compiled into some executable application or exe file, and it will run on just that platform. So the problem with this approach is that C++ programs are platform dependent. If you're writing program for Windows, then you have to write it for Windows only. So what Java did to get around this was that Java used the concept of a virtual machine. Now the platform, or Windows plus Intel, is an actual physical machine, right? It's something you can touch and see. But Java has something called a Java virtual machine, or the JVM. So what is this JVM? This JVM is actually a software, and what this software does is it interprets something called bytecode and it runs it on the physical machine. Now we are wondering, what is bytecode? So in Java, when you write a Java program and you give it to the Java compiler, it does not produce machine code. Instead, it produces an intermediate form called bytecode. And what this bytecode is capable of doing is, the same bytecode can be run on any Java virtual machine. And the work of the Java virtual machine is taking this bytecode, interpreting it and running it on the physical machine. So you can have a JVM on a Windows machine, you can have a JVM on a Mac, you can have a JVM on Linux. And not only that, Java was thinking far ahead, right? So you can have a JVM on your mobile phone. Your Nokia mobile phone has a JVM. Your microwave oven can have a JVM. Your car can have a JVM. Any electronic device can have a JVM, because JVM is just software. All you need to do is load that software onto that device and you're ready to run Java programs. So that is why Java is really platform independent, because bytecode, right? Once you have bytecode, it can be run on any machine with a JVM on it. So the bytecode is completely platform independent. The only thing it depends on is the JVM. So that is what makes Java so much more portable and so much more architecture neutral as compared to C++ or C. And this is a really important feature of Java, which really made it popular because of the internet. Alright, so the next important feature of Java is that Java is secure. Now, security is an important feature for any language, right? Why is Java secure? Now, like I said previously, Java runs inside the Java virtual machine, right? So when you compile a Java program, you get bytecode, and that bytecode runs in the JVM. Now the JVM imposes certain rules on the bytecode. So the bytecode can't do crazy things, which means you can't very easily write malicious programs in Java. Now this is especially true of something called applets. Applets are Java programs that are sent over the internet and run at somebody else's computer, right? So things that you download from the internet, if they are Java applets, then they are secure because they have to run inside the JVM, and the JVM imposes a lot of rules on them. So they're not allowed to do certain things. Versus if you had just downloaded an executable file, imagine it could have deleted data from your disk, it could have been a virus, it could have corrupted your data, anything. But Java applets, they can't do that. They're not allowed to. It's a design decision that the Java designers took, that Java has to be secure. It has to run inside the JVM. It is not allowed to do random things. And that is another important reason why Java became very popular, because applets could be very securely downloaded and used. So Java is secure. Now another really important feature of Java is that Java is object oriented. Now what does object oriented mean? There are three pillars of object oriented programming: encapsulation, inheritance and polymorphism. So any language that has these three features is considered an object oriented language. Now C++ has these features, modern languages like Ruby have these features. So there are many object oriented languages and Java is one of them. And what object oriented really is a way of thinking about your programs. It's a way of thinking about the solution that you're going to implement with Java, and it's really a way of capturing the real world problem statement that you have and converting it into programming and code. So Java is object oriented. It makes you think in an object oriented way. Moving on, Java is robust. What does robust mean? Robust programs are programs that run as you expect them to and that don't break at all. So you might be thinking, how can Java be robust, right? Because the program has to be robust. The programmer has to write a robust program. It doesn't matter which language he writes it in. But Java helps you to be robust. And how does it help you? Many different things. If those of you who have studied C++ will remember int **c, and C and all these things. So pointers, and a lot of people hate pointers. It's also been proven that pointers are the cause of a lot of programs crashing. So pointers and pointer arithmetic leads to non-robust code, and Java has gotten rid of this entirely. No more stars, no more ands. Java does not have pointer arithmetic, period. So that's one thing. Another thing you might remember from old days is malloc, calloc and free. So in C and C++, when you allocated memory for something, say an array of integers, you had to actually go and tell C++, okay, I'm done with this memory, I don't want it anymore. And if you didn't do that, then that memory would be permanently assigned to that array and would not be freed. And it was very easy for programmers to run out of memory because they just forgot to free the memory that they had finished using. In Java, things are a little different. There is something called memory management, and Under memory management, there is something called an automatic garbage collector. So what this garbage collector does is it figures out which are the things in memory that are no longer required, and it moves them to trash, and it frees up that memory for you. So it is not really possible to run out of memory in Java unless you do something really crazy. So garbage collection is another important feature of Java, which helps you to be robust. And finally, there's something called exception handling. So in Java, there is a feature where you are allowed to plan ahead for things that might go wrong, for exceptional things that might happen in your program, and you write code to handle it. So exception handling is another important feature that Java has, which helps you to write robust programs in Java. So these three things really distinguish Java from C or C++, help you to write more robust code. A few more important features of Java. Java is portable, distributed, and simple. Now portable is something we probably already understand. It means literally that you should be able to write your program once and you should be able to run it anywhere. And they also add anytime and forever. But importantly, most importantly, write once, run anywhere. That's the definition of portability. Now you already know that Java is platform independent, right? Once you write a Java program and you make it into bytecode, it's going to run on any JVM. If your microwave has a JVM, your Java program will run on the microwave. So that is the concept of portability. Write once, run anywhere. And because of the JVM and bytecode combination, you can do that. Secondly, Java is distributed. Now Java was designed with the internet in mind. So Java makes it really easy to write code for the internet. Java also makes it really easy to write client server architectures. So this makes it easy for you to write distributed code or code for distributed systems in Java. Finally, Java is simple. Now a lot of you are thinking Java is not simple at all, but it really is if you learn it in the right sense. But more importantly, back in the day when they were designing Java, why did they want to say Java is simple? They wanted to say Java is simple because the syntax is very similar to C++, and back then everyone was programming in C++. So they wanted to make it clear that it's easy for you to make the transition from C++ to Java. And secondly, a lot of the complicated stuff from C++ is gone. Like you don't have to free memory, there's no pointers and all that. So Java is actually simpler than C++. So that is good news for you all, right? Alright, so three more features. Java is multi-threaded, it is interpreted in high performance, and it is dynamic. Now multi-threaded just means that Java has the ability to do multiple things simultaneously. Multi-threading is actually a feature which lets you make more efficient use of the CPU. It makes your programs perform better and they run faster on a whole. And Java makes it really easy for you to write multi-threaded programs. C++ you can write multi-threaded programs, but you have to use platform specific code to do that. So it's a little harder. Secondly, Java is interpreted in high performance. Now interpreted is a kind of confusing term. Interpreted languages are those languages which are not compiled, and there is something called an interpreter which actually takes each line and executes it. But we just learned that Java does get compiled to bytecode. But what we didn't learn was that bytecode gets interpreted by the JVM. So Java is both compiled and interpreted. Now the general view of programmers around the world is that interpreted languages are slower than compiled languages. So C and C++, you make an executable file, it's the fastest you're going to get, versus some interpreted language which is going to be definitely slower. But the guys who designed Java decided that we might have interpretation but we will not be slow. So they had a feature called just-in-time compiler, because of which, in spite of being interpreted, Java is not very significantly slower than C++. Finally, there is Java is dynamic. Now, what is the difference? What does dynamic mean? You have to understand the difference between static and dynamic. Static is something that happens at compile time. Dynamic is something that happens at runtime. And a lot of things in Java do happen at runtime. There is runtime polymorphism, and you can do configurations. You can do a lot of different things when the program is actually running. So bottom line is that Java is multi-threaded, interpreted, and dynamic. I'll leave you with a summary slide with all the 9 features on it and simple points, and you can just go over it, and it should help you clarify the features of Java.